And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
To me, one of the most fun aspects of a movie is the whole car chase scene. I mean, I love them. From idiotic car chase scenes like the Blues Brothers to just, going through the streets and cars chasing each other, and you drive and you see the other car through the alley and the police cars are coming and the police cars always manage to get in a big pile up at the end and the person escapes. I'm assuming the person in this case is a good guy, but the police are chasing him for some reason, no fault of their own. Well, that's the way this game is. It's called Getaway Driver. One person's a reckless car driver trying to get out of town. The other person is the police trying to capture that person. So it's a very asymmetrical two-player game, kind of giving that theme some credence there. Like, how are we going to trap this person before they manage to escape the city? Here's how it plays. So if you're playing a two-player game of this, one person's going to be the getaway driver. They're going to start on this tile called Start to Chase. They're going to throw basically some stash tokens on the table, and you kind of place them in a virtual grid that's here. And then the police player is going to place a police car 2 spaces away. So 1, 2, it could be here. Imagine a virtual grid that's out there. We're going to have a bunch of tiles that are going to be thrown into a bag. And then the first turn is going to start. But before the first turn, the getaway driver is going to go through a whole pile of cards, and they're going to choose 5 of them to play the game with. So maybe I'm going to pick into oncoming traffic, improvised ramp, narrow alleyway, and let's see, drive on the sidewalk. So maybe I'll take partners in crime. So you have these various cards, and you can pick 5 of them. These are the only cards you're going to get over the course of the game. The police officer has a whole pile of tokens that they may be able to use over the course of the game, and some upgrade cards. The first thing that happens each round is the police officer is going to draw tiles called expanding the search area. They're going to look where the getaway car is and the direction it's facing, and if there are tiles that are not in front of it or directly to the left or right, you'll draw tiles from the bag, 1 for each tile that needs to be placed. You're going to pick a tile and place it in each spot face down. The getaway driver is then going to drive. Now, they can study the road, they can reveal one of these tiles, but if they do so, they have to move the pursuit token over, and if it hits red, they lose. So that's really an act of desperation. Or they drive into a tile. So maybe if in this example, they'll drive into this tile here. This tile's revealed, and it's going to show one of 3 different lights, a red, a yellow, or a green light. This red is a farmer's market. It means there's an obstacle there. So we're going to place an obstacle token onto that tile. Now the getaway driver, he can't go into an obstacle token spot, so he's going to have to stay where he is unless he plays a card. When you play a card, you'll notice that there are some icons on here, and if he plays one of those icons, so for example in this particular way, he'll play, for example, he'll play drive on the sidewalk, which shows that icon. So discard, and then he can move into this spot. The hazard token still stays there, which means police officers can't drive into this, and if a police officer had been tailing him, the police officer car would crash. Now, if for some reason there was another obstacle token and you decided not to move there, bouncing back, then this hazard token would be removed, allowing somebody else to come into that spot, the police to come after you. A green token is nothing. It's just a nice way for a person to go into. Although you'll notice this tile here shows a police badge on it, which is going to give the police player one of these tokens. These tokens are going to be used for the police player to upgrade. And then there are yellow ones. Notice this one also gives the police officer 2 tokens when revealed. A yellow one may or may not have a hazard. The driver will decide. So maybe the driver will decide to put the hazard there. So let's say the driver's here, decides to turn this direction. The driver may put a hazard there and then play a card to get through it just to throw the police off. After this happens, then the police will get to move 1 space with all the different vehicles that they have. If they are ever in the same spot as the driver, they'll be pursuing it and they'll move along with the driver when the driver moves. And every round that happens and the driver can't escape from them, then this is going to move up 1. Again, if it gets over here, the driver will lose. The police also has the opportunity to purchase upgrades. They can purchase, for example, more patrol cars. There's 3 patrol cars, and you just put it 2 spaces away from the driver. You can put up barricades, get a police motorcycle, which can move an extra movement, spending tokens, put up spikes. You can redraw your hand of city tiles once per turn. Put a helicopter up, very expensive, but is not slowed down by any obstacles and can fly around. Or an armored car, which won't crash like the other vehicles will. And so for each of these different things, there's also tokens. So if I want more police cars or the armored car or the helicopter or the motorcycle, but you're not going to have enough points to buy everything. So the police officer is going to be slowly trying to manipulate the driver and get them to where they can't move so that they can win the game. If the driver lands on a stash token, you'll take the stash token, and these can be spent to replay cards that are in the discard pile. So once a player only has 5 of these cards, but once they played a card, a stash token can let them replay it, but then it's thrown into the box and you can't use it again. The driver will win if the police officer needs to go into the bag to pull a tile, and there isn't any. They then must place the escape town tile on the board. They then go into that tile and they win the game. The police will just catch the person if they can move this pursuit meter up. And so they're trying to push the driver to the point where the driver is going to be forced and caught by the police. The driver also loses if they are forced to move on their turn and they can't for some reason. There's obstacles all around and they're out of cards. There's also event cards that you can throw in to spice it up. There's a single player variant. If you have 2 copies, you can put those copies together and play a 4-player game. In fact, that Partners of Crime card I showed you earlier is actually only usable in a 4-player game because you use an ability or something from the other driver. But that's pretty much how you play. It's a very quick game. So it actually has a really neat look to it as the city gets bigger and you're moving around and the police cars are chasing. The card quality is really well done. I like how the back looks kind of like a playing card, and the art in the front, this is just a fantastic artist and gives a very nice stylized look to the game. The game comes with a very clear reference card that tells you exactly how to take your turn and what to do. The pursuit meter is pretty big, but hey, it works for what this game is. I like all the little wooden components. My copy came with a sheet of stickers to put on them, but you know what? I kind of think you don't need to. I'm still debating whether I want to put the stickers on or not. It also came with some stand-up trees and mountains and lake, and well, whatever. That doesn't mean anything to me. That's okay. But overall, very happy with the components of this game. I'm always on the lookout for games that have a unique and interesting theme, and Getaway Driver certainly fits that bill. I really enjoyed how this game that brought the theme to life. One person's trying to get out, the other person's trying to follow them. It's very quick. The rule book itself, I found, was not completely simple in how it explained the rules. I want to say there's, looking through this thing, there's like 20 pages of rules. The game is not that complex. I think the rulebook almost made the game feel more complex than it was. It's literally me move, you put out some tiles, and then you try to chase me. And you're trying to close the other person in. The getaway driver has to figure out when to use those cards. When's the best time to go through an obstacle, and when should you go around it? Because you want to save those cards for the end when the police have you cornered, and you can quick, go through that St. Patrick's Parade, because there's one every day. Go through it while the other, then the police car behind you crashes. And the police officer has to be very careful to, as they are goading this person into a trap, that they don't leave it open in such a way that the getaway driver can get out and then make their escape, and it will be very hard to get them back in that again. This is a very fast game. The box itself, what does the box say? 30 to 45 minutes? I think 30 minutes is very, very possible, especially when both players know it. It's a bit of cat and mouse. Well, not a bit. It is cat and mouse style game. And it looks fun. And it's not just a game that any theme could have fit. This is the theme of the game. It's escaping. And both sides have interesting choices. The driver has to figure out how he's going to drive, how they're going to make it through without the police catching them. And the police officer's deciding which of the upgrades they're going to buy. And then how are they going to go after the driver? Maybe they're going to save up and get that helicopter. Although there are tunnels on the board that maybe the driver will go into that the helicopter can't catch them in. Or maybe they should just get the motorcycle. Or maybe just put out the 3 patrol cars as fast as they can. And I like these options. I like how each game is going to play out slightly differently. I don't think there's hundreds of variations in the game, but it comes out pretty strongly. This is a car chase. Also, this is a fun game. Dice Tower Judgment approved.